Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Kind of strange that you're all the way in Abuja this morning. We're missing you here in the Lagos studio. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm fine. Looking forward to tomorrow, your favorite day.
My favorite. I hope you will be here, right? Fantastic. Well, good morning. Fantastic. Good morning, Ayo. My Ayo Mide. How are you this morning?
I'm happy to see you this morning.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. Here in Lagos, where many houses and businesses across the state have been submerged following torrential rainfall on Tuesday. Floodwaters swept through major areas, including Mile 2, Lekki Phase 1, the Lekki Expressway, 3rd Mainland Bridge, Ago Palace Way, and Sangotedo, forcing commuters to abandon their vehicles and walk long distances. Videos circulating on social media show cars and motorcycles struggling through waterlogged streets, with some luxury vehicles completely submerged in knee-deep floodwater. Let's take a look.
Rain covered the bridge. June the 3rd of September. Look at it. Water can no longer go out. Look at it. Look at it. See the water covered everywhere.
Now, this was so scary. In Lekki, even supermarkets were flooded. A now viral video posted by a content creator showed the moment she made her way through a flooded supermarket with water up to her ankles. Let's take a look.
Who said Africa doesn't have water? Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, ma'am.
So we are outside. We are live from Lekki, and this is our life.
Yeah, the big boys life in Lekki.
The big boys' life in Lekki.
Lekki.
This is us just going to the supermarket to buy drink. Even inside supermarket, there's water. This is crazy. Good evening. Omo, what be this? Ah. Hello.
Omo, the struggle. The suffer is real.
Well, in response, the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, extended his sympathy to all affected residents, acknowledging the city's natural vulnerability as a coastal area. In a post on X, he highlighted the government's ongoing investments in drainage infrastructure, citing illegal construction on floodplains and refuse dumping as contributing factors to the floods. And I'll read his post on X in part. He wrote, around House on Rock Church, the flooding was linked to infractions we highlighted earlier: illegal construction on floodplains and dumping of refuse in drains. These kinds of activities worsen flooding and must stop. We appeal for understanding and continued cooperation from the public, keeping our environment clean, refraining from dumping refuse into drains, and avoiding construction on floodplains are vital to achieving a flood-free Lagos. In several of the videos shared yesterday, clear infractions were observed, and Lagos State government will ensure that such illegal structures and obstructions are promptly removed. We also wish to assure residents that the flooding was a flash flood in some parts of the state and has since receded this morning. The ministry remains committed to strengthening our flood management systems, but this effort requires the support and responsible actions of all Lagosians. Together, we can build a safer, cleaner, and more resilient Lagos. Well, Dr. Abati, I'll come to you. We are here in Lagos, and most of us did experience that flash flooding in Lagos on Tuesday. The Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, is saying that we all have to come together to help, clear our drainage systems. And of course, he blamed, illegal construction, especially in that Lekki area. What are your thoughts on the stories so far?
Okay, two things. Now, Commissioner Wahab has said this is floodplain. Apart from Commissioner Tokunbo Wahab describing it as flash floods, that's the phrase that he used. You also see that climate change is one of the subjects, recurrent subjects at the ongoing United Nations General Assembly. Vice President Kashim Shettima referred to it. The president of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, who is projecting himself as a champion for climate change, climate action in Africa, also talked about it. In other words, the entire world is facing an existential challenge in terms of climate change. And it's not only in Nigeria. We have had flash floods, even worse than what happened in Lagos, in Central Europe, in Japan, in other parts of the world this year. In fact, Spain, a section of Spain was almost submerged in water. So we share that tragedy with other parts of the world. But whereas, you may say, other countries are making concerted efforts, even in spite of the hypocrisy of the international community with regard to climate action, what are we doing here in Nigeria beyond the rhetoric? Now, Commissioner Wahab also tried to answer that question by reacting to the specific examples that you have shown. He said, for example, that in a place called Kushenla, somewhere around Lake area, he says the problem is technical because the downstream end of the flow of the water is 1.2 meters higher. So that area is, naturally going to be submerged. And then in another part, around House on the Rock and all of that, he said the problem is that people are reclaiming land, people are building on drainages, people are, violating the floodplains. Now, the way the Lagos State government has responded to this is to demolish what they call illegal structures. And they keep threatening that they will continue to demolish illegal structures. However, the problem here is that the problem has become perennial. Anytime it rains in Lagos, no matter the volume of the rain, the whole town shuts down. The whole city shuts down. People left their offices around 1 p.m. on that Tuesday. They didn't get home until 2 a.m. Now calculate the cost in terms of man-hours lost, the pain for people, and then the fact that houses became floating seas. And in fact, you could have paddled a canoe on certain parts of Lagos. But it's an essential problem, and there must continue to be concerted action. NIMET warned that there will be rains, non-stop, rainfall, non-stop, in about 6 or so states for about 4 days. Now, tragedy occurs, problem occurs. Who is going to compensate the people who lost their vehicles? Who is going to repair the vehicles? Right. The only part of it that I'm uneasy about is the attempt to politicize it by Gbadebo Roosevelt, the Labour Party chieftain, who was saying, the APC has failed. They've been doing it for 20 years. And it's because they have failed that you are suffering in this manner. No, climate change is not about, politics at that level. All right. But the public will have to be continuously educated. We are all involved, whether you are a gubernatorial candidate or you are a traditional ruler.
Yeah, we shouldn't be playing politics at this time. I'll come to you. People living in Lekki are blaming the construction of the Lagos Coastal Highway project, saying that the construction lacked proper drainage system. But last month, we saw that the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, had dismissed social media reports alleging a lack of drainage system on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. He said that the Coastal Highway project included 750 kilometers of dual underground drainage systems. I mean, this is the conversation from the residents in Lekki, especially saying that since the construction began, we have experienced more flood than before. But we have seen that there's, increase in floods, especially back in April, even in July, we've seen more floods in that area as well.
I think it would be interesting. I cannot say that we've seen like a more devastating effect of flood since the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road started. I say this because this is not the first time in Lagos State that homes have been flooded. I recall, in the early, about 10 years ago, 9 years ago, something similar happened as well. Whenever we have continuous rainfall of this nature, Before and now, post the construction of the coastal highway, we have seen homes and businesses affected. So I think it's a cheap shot to, I mean, we can investigate that, but it's a cheap shot because it is something that's happened even before the construction of the coastal highways. However, you hit a point whereby we talk about the drainage infrastructure, especially in Lagos State not being sufficient. I feel very bad because, you know, I love my Lagos State.
Yes.
I always speak up for the state, Ogoni, and the likes. But there's also a moment of truth where we have to tell ourselves the truth and be honest so that we can chart a pathway forward. Now, the governor of Lagos State came on board on the campaign of themes in terms of the plans he had for the state, highlighting some of the key challenges that the state had and how he hoped to address that. His priority areas, according to the themes agenda, was transportation and traffic management. We saw how horrendous transportation or traffic management was on the days that rain fell. Like Dr. Batty cited, a number of people, if you were stuck outside when the rain started, it was jeopardy for you. It was horrible. Families, children who went to school were returning with their school buses around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and we still had to go to school the next day. It was a terrible situation. We look at making Lagos State a 21st century city, mega city. If we're looking at a 21st century mega city that cannot manage rainfall, we are not anywhere close to the 21st century mega city. I say this because this is the second term of the governor, and even as he begins to wrap up his term in office, he's done some really great work in Lagos State. But if we're looking at him based on the promises he made to Lagosians, then he has to really look at some of these areas and see the ways in which he can chart in a path forward. We also looked at the fact that, you know, we looked at the environment. Health and environment was also a key part. So let's talk about the environment. A number of things. I agree with the commissioner who said that, you know, people poor waste management. Absolutely. And this is something that they have talked about. In fact, the Lagos State governor introduced the ban on plastic. And now you have to pay for your plastic bag, which was a good move. And now when you complain about it, at least you understand the reason why that policy was made. But there's a lot more to be done. We look at the demolition of houses. He's heavily criticized for this. You can understand now why such decisions have to be made. If you do not agree with those, then don't complain when flood happens like this. However, there's still a taller task to ask, which is there are some prominent buildings in Victoria Island, in Lekki. If you're targeting the people in Bariga, in Maryland, why don't you look at the people in Lekki and Victoria Island who have also built illegal structures on these drainage pathways? So I think that there's a holistic approach to this, but Lagos State cannot continue to claim to be the 21st century city and still have issues. Yes, there's climate change, but we can also mitigate the effects or minimize the effects of climate change.
Absolutely. Cars submerged, people lost
it's
their, you know, those cars, I'm sure they don't have insurance. But now the Lagos commissioner has urged for some cooperation between residents and the government. We need to ensure that we have a greater Lagos. Eko ni baje, as I always say to you, Ayo. Now to Delta State. With an update to the story we brought you last week about missing children in the Aguaro community of the Ughelli North local government area on Wednesday, an unidentified woman was set ablaze after being accused of child theft. Eyewitnesses say the woman was caught attempting to kidnap a 7-year-old boy before being dragged into the streets by residents, as seen in this viral video. Viewer discretion is advised. This is so sad. The Delta State Police Command has confirmed the incident, decrying the incident that instead of bringing her to the station, the community decided to take laws into their hands. They also said that they have a suspect in custody. This incident comes just days after residents mounted protests over the spate of kidnappings in the area. Well, the video showed the moment. The alleged kidnapped victim was reunited with his mother. Parents in the area have reportedly been keeping their children indoors for the fear of kidnapping.
See the kind power they want to use. God, you are great. See the mama now.
Joy at last for this woman and the young boy who was rescued yesterday. Dr. Abati, I'd like to come to you with this story. Now, as for the woman who was set ablaze, many have condemned the act, calling it barbaric and stating that, jungle justice should not be the way forward. Your thoughts on the story?
Well, first, we have to insist on the security of lives and properties and the dignity of the human person, the right to the life of everyone, whether that person is a child or as an adult. Those rights are sacrosanct under Chapter 4 of the Constitution. But what we see routinely is that, there's so much danger everywhere, and children are the most vulnerable, whether they are recruited as agents by terrorists and bandits, or they are, abused in routine circumstances, or as is in the case in Agbaro, in Ughelli North local government area, they get kidnapped. We had the chairman of that Ughelli North local government, and he said, well, they have been making efforts, and investigation is ongoing. He's liaising with the security agencies. But the security agencies will seem not to be effective or efficient enough. 40 children between the ages of 4 and maybe 14 abducted in the very presence of security agencies in a state, in a community where you have government. I think that in itself is very embarrassing. However, as to the woman who was apprehended, holding another person's child inside a sack and holding a Bible in her right hand, I think that's most ironic about the kind of charlatanism that people attach to children, but that does to religion. But that does not in any way justify jungle justice. To set a human being ablaze in the country, that's a clear indication that environment is fast becoming a jungle. And I think that the security authorities should take a look into this and apprehend those people who had a hand in the killing, extermination of that woman. She's innocent until proven guilty, and only a court of law can, within the laws of the land, take life. Not any individual, whatever may be the circumstances or the provocation.
Well said, Dr. Abati. You're absolutely right, and I'll re-echo your thoughts. Jungle justice is unacceptable. That woman should have been investigated, or she could have even helped us understand the root cause of the situation if actually the child was found in her home. Ayo, I'd like to come to you on the story really quickly.
Thank you.
The police has, confirmed the incident. They said that they have a suspect right now. Hopefully, this whole saga will be unraveled.
Yeah, so earlier, just a few minutes ago, we had the chairman of Ughelli North local government area come and talk about it. And I think part of what he said, or the manner in which he approaches some of the dangers that people talk about and why people react or respond like this. Where we talked about jungle justice in the past, we've often said that it is as a result of the failure or the lack of trust of the people in the justice system. And so they decide to take matters into their own hands when you feel that there's no action that's been taken. We cited the fact that for 4 months now, there have been complaints around abduction of children in this area. And that even the king of Agbaro community had called out the DPO and the area commander saying that they were not doing enough to to tackle the menace. Now, because people feel like the justice system isn't working for them, when they see things like this, they now decide to take matters into their own hands, which is absolutely wrong. Like you said, that could have been an opportunity for us to investigate further. She could have been a suspect and given an informant to actually help to end the situation rather than the brief exhilaration from apprehending a criminal, an alleged criminal who has not yet been tried, and then killing her immediately. But beyond that is that, can the government or the leaders be honest with us? What we want to do is that we want a solution to what is happening in the Agbaro community, not just to whitewash it and say everything is okay, just 2-3 people. It's that women have come out to protest to say that their children have been abducted. What is the police doing? What are the security agents doing about it? But I think it is absolutely horrible to see this kind of situation in 2025. Absolutely. But I think it's an indictment on the security agencies and the lack of trust of the security agencies to act after months of complaints by the people.
Fantastic.
Very sad.
Following up with the Delta State Police Command, they have been quite responsive. And hopefully this whole menace of child kidnapping in the Agbaro community will end. I'm happy for that woman who found her child. Yes. Well, now to our milestones. Today we honor the extraordinary life of billionaire industrialist Oscar Ibru, chairman of the Ibru organization, who has passed away at the age of 67, marking an end of an era for one of Nigeria's most prominent business dynasties. As a scion of the legendary Michael Ibru dynasty from Ughelli North local government area of Delta State, Oscar Ibru inherited more than just wealth. He carried forward a vision that transformed the Ibru organization into one of Nigeria's most diversified conglomerates. Under his stewardship, the multi-billion-dollar empire continued to flourish across shipping, real estate, agriculture, aviation, port management, hospitality, banking, media, and oil and gas. Oscar Ibru wasn't just preserving his father's legacy. He was expanding it, demonstrating the entrepreneurial spirit that made the Ibru name synonymous with excellence in Nigerian business. His vision and leadership helped sustain what Michael Ibru had built when he founded the conglomerate decades ago. At 67, Oscar Ibru spent years proving that Nigerian enterprises could compete and excel on any global stage. Gone too soon. Delta State Governor Sheriff Obowori captured the nation's sentiment, describing Oscar's passing as a monumental loss to the Urhobo nation and Nigeria at large. The governor praised his contributions to commerce, hospitality, and social development as indelible. Today, as we bid farewell to Oscar Ibru, we at Arise News join the Urhobo nation and all Nigerians in mourning a remarkable son of Delta State. Rest in peace, Olowugun Oscar Ibru. More on the milestones. September 25th marks a historic moment of remembrance and reconciliation as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu posthumously conferred the national honor of Commander of the Order of Niger on Albert Bede, Edward Kobani, Theophilus Orage, and Samuel Orage, collectively known as the Ogoni Four. These four men were killed and burned in 1994, and their tragic deaths became the basis for the trial of Ken Saro-Wiwa and 8 others known as the Ogoni 9, who were executed by Sani Abacha's military regime the following year. Speaking during a meeting with the Ogoni Consultations Committee at the State House in Abuja, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, "May their memories continue to inspire courage, unity, and purpose among us." This honor comes just 3 months after the president, on Democracy Day, conferred national awards and granted state pardons to Ken Saro-Wiwa and the other members of the Ogoni 9, nearly 3 decades after their execution. The CON honor on the Ogoni 4 represents more than just recognition. It's a gesture towards healing wounds that have festered for generations.
I hereby confirm national honor as the Commander of the Order of Niger, CON, on the following instructions: Chief Edward Kobani, CON, posthumous; Chief Albert Bede, CON, posthumous; Chief Samuel Orage, CON, posthumous; Chief Theophilus Orage, CON, posthumous.
All right. But today's milestone went beyond posthumous honors. The president used the occasion to call for reconciliation, urging the Ogoni people to close ranks, put this dark chapter behind them, and move forward as a united community with with one voice. Tinubu also expressed optimism about resuming oil exploration in Ogoniland and directed the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, to immediately commence engagement between the Ogoni people, NNPCL, and all stakeholders to finalize modalities for restarting operations. I mean, I think this is such a great development. Dr. Bati, in another development, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made a passionate appeal to the Commonwealth family to award Nigeria the hosting rights for the 2030 Commonwealth Centenary Games. In a compelling message on X, the president highlighted that after 100 years of Commonwealth Games, the Games have never been hosted on African soil. He described this as Nigeria's opportunity to send a powerful message that every region of the Commonwealth matters and that Africa is not only part of the story, but central to its future.
Now, in 2030, as the Games reach their centenary, the circle must be complete. In the heart of Africa stands Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria, the Commonwealth's largest youth nation, alive with culture, creativity, and possibility. Abuja 2030 will be a Games like no other, where athletics meets Afrobeats, where Nollywood shares the stage with netball, where tradition meets tomorrow. The first Games on African soil, the Commonwealth Centenary Games.
Nigeria is a country of diverse nature, and Nigeria is welcoming to all of us.
All right, Dr. Abati, President Tinubu's bid represents Nigeria's ambition to make history by becoming the first African nation to host the prestigious sporting event since its inception a century ago. Well, in his post on X, the president declared the dream must be realized. The time is now. Your thoughts on the story, if you can hear me, Dr. Abati.
Okay, first, the Commonwealth Games was first held 100 years ago. I think that was in Canada. And now, in that 100 years, in that period, Africa has never hosted. Now, in 2004, South Africa made a bid to host the Commonwealth Games, but South Africa later pulled out and said, for financial reasons. And then Glasgow took that up. Now, this year, the bid closed at the end of August, and it was Nigeria and India making a bid for it. Nigeria is proposing Abuja as the host city. India is proposing Ahmedabad in the province of Gujarat as the host city. Now, the bid evaluation committee visited Nigeria last Thursday and met with the chief of staff, Honorable Gbajabiamila. And Nigeria again restated its case. Last month, the Nigerian delegation was also in London. Now they are there currently. And Nigeria, as the president, pointed out, we want to be the African country that will be the first to host the Commonwealth Games, to give the impression that no region is excluded, either in the planning or in the hosting of the Commonwealth Games, and that all the 56 countries, there will be a sense of belonging. And Nigeria is proposing an all-inclusive, hosting, which will include excellence in sports, youths, culture and the arts, and all of that. So, speaking for myself, I support Nigeria succeeding in this bid. Sports will give us an opportunity to develop in many directions, and we hope we succeed when the decision is announced in November 2025. Now, finally, as we spoke earlier about the passing of Olorogun Oscar Ibru, the scion of the Michael Ibru dynasty. Unfortunately, he died just a day to his 68th birthday. May his soul rest in peace, and we commiserate with the entire Ibru clan and the people of Agbara Oto and the people of Delta State on his passing.
All right, rest in peace, Olorogun Oscar Ibru. Well, before we take our good news report, we'd like to highlight this video from a popular content creator, also known as London Boss Auntie, attending her first Burberry fashion show during London Fashion Week. It comes after the luxury brand made her one of their latest faces in their Back to the City campaign last month. Let's take a look.
We are in Burberry Fashion Show. This is my first one, and it's the most fabulous one so far because it's my first one. 10 years ago, don't wait around. Never wait. Don't put your dream aside. Even if it's silly to others, if it's what you're passionate about, go for it. I've always loved buses, and here I am.
I love this video, Ayu. I know she became famous when, they made her the face of Burberry. Yes. Your thoughts really quickly.
So she would usually stand in front of buses and just give commentary, and just like that. It reminds me of a number of people who've been able to use social media to climb. Remember that guy that doesn't say anything? His name escapes me now. But very important to see what he said. Lamy, Lamy, who would just be there. I'm like, so you can use social media to achieve your dreams. Yes. I love that it's something that she enjoys doing. She wasn't doing it for clout. And just by doing what she's passionate about, she's been able to receive such global accolades and applause, and being the face of Burberry, top designer Burberry. I love it for her, and her sincerity, and even acknowledging that she's excited to be there.
Yes,
so really beautiful to see that.
I admire her message as well. To date, she has about 317,000 TikTok followers.
Look at that.
Mama, no, they carry you.
So what's your passion?
I'll tell you off screen. So we can't. I don't think I can use it to collect money. Well, all right. Kudos, baby, really. Now to our good news report. It's a positive update to a story we first brought to you a few weeks ago. Mrs. Motunrayo, the woman who tragically lost her twins because she was unable to raise 28,000 naira for their delivery, has been gifted a brand new apartment. The Good Samaritan, Joy Ondegu, who helped her during her ordeal, surprised Motunrayo with a 2-bedroom apartment with the rent fully covered for 2 years in this emotional video that has now gone viral.
Okay. This is a 2-bedroom apartment rented for you and your beautiful family.
Hey!
2 years rent has been sorted.
Jesus.
And all the household items belong to you.
Eh? Jesus. Jesus. Okay, Mama, I know the Lord will put a new song in your mouth.
Amen. No, Mama, please.
This video touched my heart. Well, this video and their friendship are remarkable as they remind us how much impact even complete strangers can have on our lives. I know that you wanted to say something quickly.
So beautiful.
Absolutely.
And it just shows the humanity of Nigerians all over the world. Thank you for doing this, and I hope this is some form of comfort to her for her loss.
Absolutely. I'd love to thank the content creator, Joy Ondegu. She's a philanthropist. She's been doing fantastic. And congratulations, Mrs. Motunrayo. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.